Welcome back, Gumball fans! We all know the Amazing World of Gumball is one of those rare shows that totally changed the game. Its combination of ridiculous humor, extraordinary storytelling, top-tier animation, and sharp social criticism is what makes it so close to viewers' hearts. Now, it's normal for a show of this caliber to have its knockoffs, and that's exactly what happened. Several shows around the world have attempted to copy Gumball, but none have been able to replicate its success. Today, we're going to talk about every cartoon that tried but failed to be like Gumball, and what happened to the last one is pretty mind-blowing. Starting with the show called Pinky Malinky. It follows the main character, a literal hot dog named Pinky Malinky, who's just trying to fit in with the human world. That's basically the premise. He's got two best friends, JJ and Babs, who are always by his side through every random adventure. Right from the start, the animation style looks a lot like the Amazing World of Gumball. And there's a reason for that. The show's creator, Christopher Millard, actually worked on Gumball. He was a storyboard artist during Season 1 and even wrote for Season 2. So yeah, the similarities are more than just a coincidence. If you check out the first episode called Snacks, it kicks off in this place called Food Man Market Mart. Pinky explains how important this snack called Poppins is to the entire town of Snackingham and how much it means to him personally. But then his friends find out that Poppins is being discontinued, and chaos erupts through the city. Pinky gets so furious that he inflates like a balloon and literally blasts off into the air. From that moment, it's obvious Pinky doesn't follow the same physical rules as everyone else. His body stretches, shrinks, bends, and moves in ways that no human can. Kind of like how the characters in Gumball constantly defy logic for the sake of comedy. His design makes him perfect for visual gags, and the show leans hard into that. Now, to be fair, stretchy cartoon physics isn't exclusive to Gumball. Shows like SpongeBob, Animaniacs, and Tom and Jerry have done that for decades. Even in the 2009 pilot of Pinky Malinky, which came before Gumball aired, Pinky is already a bendy, transformable cartoon meat product. So technically, Pinky's not copying Gumball. He just comes out after Gumball becomes a hit, which makes it look like a ripoff. Still, the comparisons don't stop at physics. One of the things that makes Gumball so unique is how it mixes animation styles. 2D, 3D, puppets, stop motion, and even live action. It's a full-on multimedia experience. Pinky Malinky sticks mostly to 2D, but it's not afraid to throw in different styles now and then. For instance, there's a scene in the episode Change where Pinky and JJ momentarily change into real-life versions of themselves. JJ becomes a live-action girl version of himself, and Pinky becomes an actual hot dog. Although brief, it shows the creator's willingness to try new things. Now, let's talk about Babs, one of Pinky's best friends. She's kind and supportive, wears green and orange, and is always there for Pinky. Sound familiar? Yeah, she's basically Darwin if he were a girl and a human. It might seem like a reference at first, especially considering Christopher Millard's past work on Gumball, but the resemblance is uncanny. She's not just a background character either. She's a main part of the trio and shows up in multiple episodes throughout the show. So, is Pinky Malinky actually a copy of Gumball? Honestly, I don't think so. Despite the similarities, it doesn't come across as an intentional copy. It makes sense that there are some shared ideas and visual choices when one of Gumball's original creatives is leading the project. It's natural for some of that style to carry over. That said, it still raises eyebrows when things get too similar. But here's the thing, it's totally okay to take inspiration from something you've worked on before, but the condition is that you must add something new and original to it. There's a big difference between being inspired and straight-up copying. Or to quote Gumball himself, be your own you, try something new, and find your own things to do. So, whatever happened to Pinky Malinky? Well, it was cancelled. While it didn't get announced, it didn't get renewed either. The entire thing was completed years before it even came out. And by the time it finally dropped on Netflix in 2019, the team had probably moved on. In addition to that, it got hit with major backlash from fans who instantly labeled it a Gumball knockoff. That bad buzz probably killed any hype it might have had. And let's not forget, Netflix has a bit of a reputation. If a show isn't blowing up right from the get-go, they shut it down and put more money into something more marketable. so Pinky Malinky didn't stand a chance, even if it didn't quite deserve the hate. The next show people accused of copying Gumball is Harvey Beaks. This series follows a sweet little bluebird named Harvey and his best friends Fee and Foo as they go on adventures in the calm forest town of Little Bark Grove. At first glance, nothing about Harvey Beaks seems like a ripoff. It was broadcast on a completely different network, the animation style is entirely different, and the scene is a calm forest rather than a busy suburb. So, on the surface, it felt unrelated until people started taking a closer look. Fans began pointing out how similar the main trio, Harvey, Fee, and Foo, are to Gumball, Darwin, and Anais. The comparison isn't obvious right away, but once you break it down, the similarities start to show. Both trios are young, curious, and full of energy. Their personalities balance each other out in a classic cartoon style. In the show, Fee is loud, emotional, and unpredictable, a clear reference to Gumball. Harvey is a kind and well-mannered character very similar to Darwin, and Foo, while not the smartest in the group, often acts silly and naive, very much like Anais when she lets her guard down. Even their color scheme lines up weirdly well. Gumball is blue like Harvey, Fee is pink like Anais, and Foo is orange just like Darwin. Now that's starting to look less like a coincidence. There are also some interesting similarities in their stories. In Gumball, Darwin is originally bought as a pet fish. In the episode The Origins, he grows legs, develops a personality, and becomes an official member of the Watterson family, though the show never fully explains where he came from or who his real parents are. Still, Darwin finds love and belonging in a family that sees him as more than just a pet. In Harvey Beaks, Fee and Foo are separated from their parents at a young age and have to survive on their own. They eventually reconnect with their biological family, but they still look up to Harvey's parents and see Harvey as their family. That chosen family theme runs deep in both shows and hits an emotional note that resonates with the audience. So, is Harvey Beaks really a ripoff? Honestly, it's hard to tell. Even with those character parallels and emotional themes, the vibe is very different. The tone, pacing, and world building are unique. Harvey Beaks leans into slow, quiet, emotional storytelling. Meanwhile, Gumball is fast-paced, chaotic, and full of humor. They're clearly going for different vibes. It also makes sense considering Harvey Beaks was created by C.H. Greenblatt, the same guy who created Chowder. He's got his own storytelling style, and you can see it in how Harvey Beaks handles serious themes. The show deals with topics like family, abandonment, and even death, which we rarely ever see in a kid's cartoon. That's not to say Gumball doesn't have emotional depth. It definitely does. There are episodes that go into serious themes too. But compared to other shows running on Nickelodeon at the time, like SpongeBob or The Fairly OddParents, Harvey Beaks feels more grounded and emotional. It stood out for that. And interestingly, fans of both shows seem to appreciate them equally. There are a lot of crossovers in the fan communities, and you don't really see much rivalry. If anything, the Copycat claims never really took hold in a serious way. As for what happened to Harvey Beaks, unfortunately, it was cancelled after just 2 seasons. It didn't reach the same level of fame as other Nickelodeon hits, and over time, it got pushed onto Nicktoons. For anyone familiar with how Nick handles shows, that usually means the network is ready to move on. It didn't get the push or promotion it deserved, and it quietly faded out. Now it's finally time to talk about the most infamous copy of the Amazing World of Gumball, Miracle Star. This show is so blatant that people literally call it the Chinese version of Gumball. Why? Because the creators basically hit Central C and Central V and boom, you have a new cartoon show. Sounds easy, right? This show follows a goat named Mao Li Jing and his talking frog friend Gua Gua as they go about their lives. But instead of trying to create something original, the creators clearly try to cash in on Gumball's popularity by straight up cloning it, down to entire scenes and storylines. They don't even try to hide it. Miracle Star blatantly lifts moments from Gumball, swapping characters with ones they own, but keeping everything else nearly similar. One infamous example comes from Gumball's very first episode, the DVD. In that episode, Nicole tells Gumball to return a DVD titled Alligators on a Train before they get fined. Gumball tries to talk his way out of it, but after Nicole punches a hole in the wall out of pure rage, he instantly agrees to return it. In Miracle Star, the same scene is played out, with different characters, but with the same setup and punchline. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. In some YouTube videos, Miracle Star replicates Gumball frame by frame in side-by-side comparisons. The sole significant alteration in Miracle Star is the designs for the characters, but even those lack true originality. The main family in Miracle Star copies the Wattersons almost exactly, just with different animal types. Anais is the only one who doesn't seem to get a counterpart, which many people believe may be due to China's former one-child policy and traditional gender preferences for boys. Other characters also get swapped. Carrie gets replaced with a literal broccoli, Masami keeps the same design but has a different color, and Bobbert is subbed out for a knockoff robot. Since we mentioned the robot, let me ask you a question. Anyways, instead of taking legal action, Gumball's creators decided to have a little fun with the situation. They responded back in their own way by mocking the ripoff in an actual episode called The Copycats. In that episode, the Wattersons go grocery shopping in the exotic foods aisle. Gumball and Darwin start cracking jokes about the strange items on display, but then their lookalikes, Chi-Chi and Ribbit, appear and start mimicking everything they say. These characters are clearly meant to represent Mao Li-Jing and Guagua from Miracle Star, but the creators keep it vague enough to avoid legal issues by making them original characters, just close enough to get the message across. Back at home, Gumball discovers that their doppelgangers are actually Chinese TV stars who are profiting by copying episodes of the Amazing World of Gumball, including the exact same DVD episode. Everyone gets a laugh out of seeing their knockoff versions, except Anais, who feels left out since she doesn't have a clone. Poor Anais. Later in the episode, the Wattersons realize the copycats are mimicking everything they do, so they try to outsmart them by doing the riskiest things possible. They fight them head-on, but it's basically a draw since their moves are just being mirrored back. Anais eventually points out that the copycats aren't evil, but they just don't know how to be original. The family encourages them to find their own identity and be themselves, but it doesn't work. So the Wattersons go extreme. They start doing life-threatening stunts in hopes that their counterparts will copy them to their own doom. When that doesn't work, they get on a flaming truck barreling toward an unfinished bridge. It looks like they're about to crash, but Anais, using her genius brain, detaches the fuel tank and saves everyone. After that episode aired, Miracle Star faced an intense backlash. Viewers tore it apart online, and it earned a miserable 1 out of 10 rating on IMDb. The criticism became so overwhelming that the show was eventually cancelled in 2017. And that's it. These were the shows that were called knockoffs of our very own The Amazing World of Gumball. If you stayed till the end, like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click on the bell icon so you never miss out on any of our future updates.